If you believe your bones are weakening simply because you're not getting enough calcium, you may have been misled for years. In fact, many adults over 60 follow every guideline for bone health, take supplements, and still experience bone loss after 60, quietly, year after year. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Calcium alone may not be the missing piece at all. What if the real reason your bones aren't responding has nothing to do with how much calcium you take, but whether your body can actually use it? And what if one overlooked mineral is silently deciding whether calcium strengthens your bones, or passes right through without doing much at all? If you're over 60, this isn't a small detail. It can completely change how you approach stronger bones after 60. According to emerging research in bone metabolism and healthy aging, magnesium plays a critical regulatory role in how calcium is absorbed, transported, and locked into bone tissue. In simple terms, magnesium helps calcium know where to go. Without enough magnesium, calcium struggles to enter bone properly. Instead of supporting bone density, it can remain inactive or settle where it causes problems. That's why many older adults show normal calcium intake on paper, yet continue to lose bone density in real life. Here's a question worth pausing on. If calcium intake looks fine, why are bones still weakening? The unsettling part is that magnesium deficiency in seniors often shows no early warning signs. No pain, no alarms, no symptoms you'd immediately connect to your bones. Silent bone loss can progress for years, long before a scan or fracture ever reveals the damage. And when it finally appears, people are often told it's just age-related, when in reality, it may have been building quietly all along. Did you know that after 60, your ability to absorb and retain magnesium naturally declines, even if your diet hasn't changed? And could it be that some of the foods you trust for healthy aging are now delivering far less magnesium than your bones actually need? This is where curiosity often turns into concern, and then into hope. Because while magnesium decline with aging is common, it's not permanent or irreversible. Certain magnesium-rich foods for bones send much stronger signals than others, and the difference can be significant. Some foods simply maintain the system. Others help activate bone repair and improve how calcium is used. And one in particular is so underestimated that most seniors never think to include it regularly, despite its powerful impact on bone strength and balance. Here's the part most people miss. Doing more isn't the answer. Choosing smarter magnesium foods is. In just a moment, you'll see why bone health after 60 depends heavily on the order in which magnesium sources are chosen, and why starting with the wrong foods can create a false sense of security that delays real improvement. Stay with me, because next you'll discover how magnesium truly decides whether bones rebuild or continue to weaken silently, even when everything looks normal on the surface. For many adults over 60, bone loss after 60 doesn't begin with pain, stiffness, or any clear warning sign. It starts quietly, at the cellular level, where minerals are meant to lock into bone but slowly fail to do so. Over time, this silent bone loss weakens the skeleton, affects balance, and raises fracture risk without ever announcing itself. And the most concerning part? Many people believe they're protected simply because they take calcium or choose foods labeled bone healthy. Here's the hidden threat most seniors are never told about, and once you understand it, everything fits together. When magnesium levels decline, even slightly, the body struggles to guide calcium into bone tissue. Calcium may still be present, but without proper direction, it can drift through the system or settle where it doesn't belong. Bones, meanwhile, quietly lose their internal structure. This doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds year by year, often discovered only after a fall, a scan, or a fracture that seems to come completely out of nowhere. If you're over 60, this invisible process matters more than you may realize, because it often begins long before any doctor ever mentions bone density or osteoporosis risk. Did you know magnesium deficiency in seniors has been linked not only to weaker bones, but also to reduced muscle control and slower nerve signaling, two changes that directly affect balance and fall risk? And what if some of the foods you rely on for healthy aging are no longer supplying enough magnesium to protect you the way they once did? This is where concern naturally turns into curiosity, because while magnesium decline with age is common, it's not a dead end. The good news is that bone cells remain responsive well into later life if they receive the right signals. Research in bone metabolism and aging shows that restoring magnesium availability can improve how bones use calcium, strengthen internal bone structure, and support steadier movement over time. In other words, bones don't simply wear out with age, they respond to what they're given. Here's a question worth pausing on for a moment. If bones can still respond, what's been missing all this time? And here's the hopeful part most people never hear. You don't need extreme diets or complicated supplements to support this process. Certain magnesium-rich foods for bones send much stronger signals than others, helping reactivate the pathways bones rely on for repair and stability. Some options quietly keep the system running. Others help activate bone repair and improve magnesium and calcium absorption. Knowing the difference can completely change the outcome. But this raises an important question many seniors have never been encouraged to ask. Could it be that the order in which magnesium sources are chosen makes the difference between slow decline and renewed strength? And could one commonly overlooked source be far more powerful than most people expect? In this video, you'll discover how magnesium truly influences bone health after 60, and how simple, natural choices can help restore what time has slowly taken away. In the next section, we'll begin uncovering which magnesium sources matter least, and why starting in the wrong place can quietly delay real progress. According to Harvard researchers studying bone metabolism in older adults, magnesium plays a regulatory role in how calcium is absorbed, transported, and ultimately locked into bone tissue. In simple terms, calcium cannot do its job properly without magnesium guiding the process in the background. That's why so many seniors take calcium faithfully yet still hear their doctors say, "Your bone density is still declining." Let's pause here, because this single detail reshapes how we should think about bone health after 60. A large 2023 study on aging and mineral balance found that magnesium deficiency becomes more common with age, even when diet appears unchanged. In everyday terms, your body doesn't process magnesium at 65 the same way it did at 40. That's why many adults over 60 feel weaker, less steady, or more fatigued without understanding why, despite keeping the same habits for years. And this naturally raises an important question. If absorption changes with age, are the magnesium sources we rely on still effective? Researchers in geriatric nutrition often describe magnesium as a gatekeeper mineral for bones and muscles. In simple language, magnesium decides whether minerals actually reach your bones or get lost along the way. This helps explain why balance problems, muscle weakness, and bone loss after 60 often appear together rather than years apart. If you've ever wondered why these issues seem connected, this link begins to make sense. But here's where it becomes even more revealing. Clinical observations show that bone cells remain responsive well into older age when mineral signaling improves. In simple terms, bones are not passive or done changing after 60. They still listen. That's why some seniors notice improved stability, strength, or confidence months after adjusting nutrition, even when they were once told decline was inevitable. So the real question becomes, what kind of mineral signals are your bones receiving right now? And are they strong enough to matter? According to researchers who specialize in age-related bone loss, not all magnesium sources send the same signal strength. In simple terms, some sources whisper, while others speak clearly enough for bone cells to respond. This explains why eating a little bit of everything doesn't always improve bone density after 60, even though it sounds sensible. And it may explain why progress feels slow or inconsistent for so many people who believe they're doing everything right. Here's a thought worth sitting with for a moment. If magnesium is the signal and bones are the receiver, could the order and quality of magnesium sources matter more than most people realize? And could starting with weaker sources quietly delay the benefits you've been hoping to feel? As we move forward, we're going to translate this science into everyday food-based choices without overwhelm and without guesswork. In the next section, we'll begin breaking down how different magnesium-rich foods for bones compare, and why starting at the bottom of the list may be the reason real bone strength has felt just out of reach. Now, let's count down the magnesium-rich foods for bones that quietly decide whether your skeleton stays resilient or slowly loses strength with age. We'll start with the weakest signal and move step by step towards stronger, clearer ones, because if you're over 60, order matters far more than quantity. Many adults believe they're covering their bases, yet still feel less steady or surprised when bone scans don't improve. And here's the overlooked truth. The first choices you make can quietly determine whether bone health after 60 moves forward or stalls without warning. What if you're not missing effort, but missing the right signal? And what if the reason bone density after 60 doesn't respond has less to do with calcium itself and more to do with how magnesium and calcium absorption work together inside aging bone? Number 9, banana. Gentle support, not a builder. The mechanism behind bananas comes from their modest magnesium paired with potassium, which helps calm nerves and reduce nighttime muscle tension rather than rebuild bone directly. In practical use, one banana earlier in the day can support relaxation, steadier movement, and fewer muscle cramps that make walking feel uncertain. For many seniors, that comfort is real and valuable. But it's important to understand the limit. A caution for adults over 60 is relying on fruit alone for minerals, which can create a false sense of protection. You feel proactive, yet the magnesium signal is often too small to influence bone structure. The result is mild comfort and balance support, but not meaningful improvement in bone density, and this is where many people unknowingly stop. Here's the pause-worthy question. If a food makes you feel better, does it automatically mean it's rebuilding bone? Number 8. Whole grains, helpful with limits. The mechanism here involves magnesium bound to fiber, supporting digestion, gut health, and mineral transport. That matters because digestion influences how well minerals are absorbed, an often missed factor in magnesium for bone health. In practical use, whole grains earlier in the day can support steadier energy and a more stable mineral baseline. But there's a catch most adults over 60 are never told. A key caution is phytates, natural compounds in grains that can reduce magnesium absorption when portions are large or repeated daily. This doesn't make whole grains unhealthy. It simply means they may deliver less usable magnesium than expected when relied on too heavily. The result is baseline support, helpful but still not strong enough to activate true bone repair. So the curiosity deepens. If your healthy staples aren't absorbing the way you think, which foods actually send a clearer signal? Number 7. Avocado. Circulation comes first. The mechanism of avocado works through magnesium combined with healthy fats that improve blood flow and nutrient delivery to tissues, including bone. This matters because bones don't weaken only from missing minerals. They weaken when minerals don't consistently reach the right places. In practical use, half an avocado with meals can help minerals travel more efficiently, especially when paired with protein and vegetables. A caution for adults over 60 managing weight is portion size, since avocados are calorie-dense. Balance is key. The result is better delivery, but not rebuilding yet, which often leaves people wondering why bone strength after 60 still feels incomplete despite doing everything right. And this leads to the turning point question. If delivery improves but rebuilding still doesn't switch on, what kind of magnesium signal does it actually take to wake bone repair up? Next, we move into the foods where magnesium signals become clearer, stronger, and far harder for aging bones to ignore. Because this is where many people finally understand why progress has felt just out of reach. Number 6. Spinach. When healthy turns complicated. The mechanism behind spinach involves plant-based magnesium working alongside vitamin K, a nutrient essential for bone matrix formation. Vitamin K helps activate proteins that bind calcium into bone, while magnesium supports mineral balance and cellular signaling. On paper, this looks like an ideal combination for bone health after 60. But here's where things become more complicated than most people realize. In practical use, spinach delivers its benefits best when lightly cooked rather than eaten raw. Gentle cooking reduces oxalates, natural compounds in spinach that bind to minerals and limit their absorption. For many seniors who rely heavily on raw salads for healthy aging, this detail is often missed. They may be eating spinach regularly, yet absorbing far less magnesium than expected. And this raises an important question. How many healthy foods are quietly underperforming because of how they're prepared? A caution for older adults is frequent raw consumption. When spinach is eaten raw day after day, oxalates can block magnesium and calcium absorption, reducing the benefit to bones over time. This doesn't make spinach a bad food. It makes preparation and variety essential. Rotating cooked greens and pairing them with other magnesium-rich foods improves results far more than doubling down on salads. The result is steady support for bone matrix maintenance, but still a quiet signal. Spinach helps keep the system running, yet it rarely sends a strong enough message to trigger active bone rebuilding on its own. And for many adults over 60, this explains why eating healthy hasn't translated into stronger bones. So what happens when the magnesium signal becomes clearer and more direct? That's where the shift truly begins. Number 5. Dark chocolate, cocoa, where things begin to shift. The mechanism behind dark chocolate, specifically high-quality cocoa, combines magnesium with powerful polyphenols that support bone-forming cells known as osteoblasts. Magnesium helps guide calcium, while polyphenols reduce oxidative stress that interferes with bone repair. This combination doesn't just maintain bone, it begins to activate the system responsible for rebuilding it. And for many viewers, this is the first food on the list that feels genuinely different. In practical use, small portions of high cocoa dark chocolate a few times per week are enough to deliver this signal. The focus here is quality, not quantity. Cocoa content matters far more than sweetness. A modest serving sends a clear magnesium message without overwhelming blood sugar or digestion. For adults over 60, this balance is critical, because spikes and crashes can quietly work against bone health. A caution for seniors is low-quality chocolate products with added sugars and minimal cocoa. These can increase inflammation and counteract the benefits magnesium is meant to provide. Choosing chocolate with a high cocoa percentage preserves the advantage and supports more stable mineral signaling. This is where labels matter more than habits. The result is a noticeable move from simple maintenance toward activation. Bones receive a clearer signal to respond, and this is often the moment people begin to realize that calcium alone is not enough. Maintenance keeps things from getting worse, but activation is what allows improvement. And once this distinction becomes clear, the question naturally changes. If this food begins to wake the system up, what happens when magnesium signals become even stronger and more consistent? As we continue upward, the signals grow clearer, more targeted, and harder for bones to ignore, revealing why some foods merely support aging bones, while others help restart real repair. Number 4. Hazelnuts, building the framework. The mechanism behind hazelnuts goes beyond basic mineral intake and focuses on structure. Hazelnuts pair magnesium with copper, a trace mineral that plays a critical role in collagen cross-linking inside bone tissue. This matters because strong bones are not built from minerals alone. They rely on an internal framework, collagen fibers that hold minerals in place and give bones flexibility instead of brittleness. Without proper collagen structure, even adequate calcium and magnesium can fail to create resilient bones. In practical use, hazelnuts work best when eaten a few days per week rather than daily. A small handful added to meals or snacks provides enough magnesium and copper to support bone architecture without overwhelming digestion or calorie intake. For adults over 60, this rhythm matters. Bones respond better to steady, repeated signals than to large, infrequent doses. And here's a detail many people miss. Improving bone quality often comes before noticeable changes in bone density. A caution for adults over 60 is calorie density. Hazelnuts are nutrient-rich but energy-dense, and portions can quietly grow larger over time. More is not better here. Excess intake can interfere with weight balance, which indirectly affects joint load and mobility, two factors closely tied to fracture risk. Moderation keeps the benefit without creating new problems. The result is a stronger internal bone framework, not just minerals sitting in place, but a structure that can absorb stress, support balance, and reduce fragility. But this naturally raises a question. If structure matters this much, what happens when minerals are not only supported, but actively guided to the right place? That's where the next food becomes essential. Number 3. Cashews, directing the traffic. The mechanism of cashews centers on one of magnesium's most overlooked roles: direction. Magnesium acts like a traffic controller for calcium, helping guide it into bone tissue instead of allowing it to drift through the bloodstream or settle where it doesn't belong. For adults over 60, this function becomes increasingly important because calcium misplacement is a common reason bone density declines even when intake appears adequate. In practical use, cashews work best in moderate, consistent portions. A small serving several times per week provides a clear magnesium signal that supports calcium transport and mineral placement. This is not about large handfuls or daily overconsumption. It's about repetition. Bones respond to repeated guidance signals far more reliably than to occasional spikes, and cashews fit naturally into that pattern. A caution for seniors is excess sodium in roasted or heavily processed versions. High sodium intake can increase calcium loss through urine, quietly counteracting the very benefit cashews are meant to provide. Choosing unsalted or lightly salted options preserves the advantage and supports better mineral balance overall. The result is improved mineral placement, an often missed step in preventing bone loss naturally. When calcium is guided correctly, bones become denser where it matters most, particularly in weight-bearing areas that affect balance and confidence. And this leads to an important realization. Strong bones are not just about what you consume, but how effectively your body uses it. And as we move closer to the top of the list, the magnesium signals become even clearer, revealing why some foods support bones quietly, while others help switch real repair back on. Number 2. Almonds. When signals work together. The mechanism behind almonds is synergy, and this is where many adults over 60 begin to notice a meaningful shift in bone response. Almonds provide magnesium that improves calcium retention, while their natural protein content supports bone remodeling. The slow, ongoing process where old bone tissue is replaced with stronger, more organized structure. In simple terms, magnesium tells calcium where to stay, and protein gives bones the building material they need to respond. This combination matters because bones don't strengthen from minerals alone. They strengthen when signals and structure work together. In practical use, almonds fit easily into daily routines, which is exactly why they're so effective. A small handful added to breakfast, yogurt, or a midday snack provides a steady magnesium signal without overwhelming digestion. For many seniors, consistency matters more than quantity. It's not about eating large portions, it's about sending a reliable signal day after day. And here's something most people overlook. Bones respond better to steady input than occasional spikes. A caution for adults over 60, especially those with digestion concerns or dental issues, is to chew almonds thoroughly or choose sliced or ground forms. Poor chewing can reduce mineral availability and cause discomfort, which quietly discourages consistency. And when consistency drops, so do results. The result is bones that don't just hold steady, but gradually adapt. Over time, this can support better bone density, improved confidence with movement, and fewer off-balance moments. But here's an important question to keep in mind as we move forward. If almonds already help signals work together, what happens when the magnesium signal becomes even stronger? Because what comes next is where many people finally understand what's been missing. Number 1. Pumpkin seeds. The switch. Most people miss. And finally, the most surprising one, because almost no one expects this food to matter as much as it does. The mechanism of pumpkin seeds delivers one of the strongest magnesium signals found in whole foods. This magnesium directly supports vitamin D activation, calcium transport, and the activity of bone-building cells that decide whether repair actually happens. In other words, pumpkin seeds don't just support the system, they help turn it on. For adults over 60, this matters deeply. As magnesium absorption declines with age, bones often stop responding even when calcium intake looks perfect. Pumpkin seeds help restore that missing signal. This is why many seniors feel like they're doing everything right, yet nothing seems to change, until this piece is added. In practical use, a small daily portion of pumpkin seeds is enough to shift signaling. They can be sprinkled over salads, mixed into meals, or eaten alone as a snack. What matters most is timing and consistency, not volume. This isn't about overeating seeds. It's about sending a clear daily message to your bones that repair is allowed to happen. A caution, especially for older adults watching weight or blood sugar, is portion control. Pumpkin seeds are calorie-dense, and more is not better. A modest amount delivers the signal without creating new problems. This balance is key to long-term success. The result is clear activation of bone repair pathways, something many adults over 60 have never experienced before. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily and reliably. Stronger internal structure, better mineral placement, and a renewed sense that bones are responding again. And next, we'll talk about when magnesium works best during the day because timing, not just food choice, may be the final piece tying everything together for stronger bones after 60. If you've been feeling weaker, less steady, or quietly worried about your bones lately, you're not alone. Many adults over 60 experience these changes but rarely talk about them. The good news is that your body can still respond and improve at any age when it receives the right signals for bone health after 60. Tell us in the comments, how old are you and what's your biggest health goal right now? Your story might be exactly what another senior needs to hear today. And in a moment, we'll show how these choices fit into a simple daily rhythm. Always check with your doctor before making major diet changes, especially if you take medications or manage a chronic condition. Remember, your body is often far more adaptable than most people are told. If this video helped you, please like and share it. And in the next video, we'll walk through how to use these magnesium-rich foods for bones safely and confidently in everyday life.